3 days of rain, crashes, stray dogs, broken collarbones and shredded nerves, the riders knew that things could only get worse. All they had to do was look at the map to know that they were heading on to the famous cobblestones of the hardest one-day race in the world, Paris-Roubaix. Even those who'd never ridden it before knew it wasn't called the Hell of the North for nothing. And for one day only on stage 3, the tour was going to hell.
It's going to be a very stressful stage for many guys.
More problems on the side of the road.
It can be a very dangerous stage.
Again, this is the chaos that happens. Somebody's gone right off to the side of the road.
Everybody want to be on the front, and that's the problem.
Look how these riders are now trying to find a smooth section of road.
Anything can happen, and everyone's going to be nervous.
That doesn't look good. He's hurt his elbow.
It will be hard, will be difficult, will be stressed.
This is very dramatic.
There's definitely going to be some people to lose time, that's for sure.
They've all been caught out, and look at the split now.
It's really important to start in front, and it will be a really big stress day.
This is a beast and a brute of a piece of cobblestones.
I've got to just stay out of trouble and be safe. I try to do my best. I don't want to think too much.
Well, they look innocent enough, charming in their own way, but these cobbles strike fear into the very hearts of some of even the most experienced riders. It's no wonder Paris-Roubaix is known as the Hell of the North. The challenge is to get to the front, find and follow the safest line. Now, that could be down here in the gutter or up on the crown of the road. But at high speed, in a peloton of almost 200 professional cyclists, now that could be tricky.
There will be big differences, whatever happens. I mean, it's just going to be caused by crashes, and that's all that's going to cause it. So, and that means everyone's going into it knowing that, which means they're going to be more nervous. And it's in the build-up, in the actual run into the cobbles as well. It might not happen on the cobbles. It could be just a crash like 4Ks before the first cobble section.
Well, that was certainly the case the last time the pavé featured on the race route. In 2004, they reappeared after an absence of 20 years. In the battle to be at the front of the group as the cobbles loomed large, one of the race favourites, Iban Mayo, went down, effectively ending his tour ambitions. Of course, back in the day, cobbles featured in great swathes of the tour route. After all, that's how roads were once built. But however hazardous the riders find this year's 7 sections of pavé, they at least won't have to negotiate tram lines as well. The decision to include cobbles this year is widely recognised as an attempt to level the playing field, so the mountains won't necessarily determine the overall winner. The lighter climbers will suffer most on this terrain.
Rider as me, as Alberto, 60 kilos, it's not going to be easy, an easy day, no? But having a strong team, being in the right position, in the right place, in the right moment, everything can be easily, you know.
Riding cobbles well takes a certain style and also a little bit a certain build almost to do it really, really well. But I think the most important factor for that stage and getting across them safely will be the position going into the cobbles. That's where the biggest fight is really. It's not the cobbles themselves, it's trying to get that position in the bunch and stay at the front and out of trouble and not go down. So, like a lot of people have said, you won't win the tour there, but you could certainly lose it.
But Alberto Contador, like all of the main GC contenders, has been doing his homework. He may be renowned for his magic in the mountains, but he knows he has to negotiate the cobbles before he reaches the Alps.
Pues sí, estuve con Barpetegen, ¿no? Y la verdad que fue un honor para mí tener un profesor como él. Y la verdad que aprendí más sobre el pavé en un día que lo que había aprendido en toda mi vida.
There's no doubt it's the big, powerful riders who best suit this kind of racing. Fabian Cancellara won Paris-Roubaix this year for the 2nd time. He'll be tasked to safely shepherd the Schlecks through the pavé along with teammate Stuart O'Grady. But with a race of this size, there's no chance to swap bikes for the different terrain. So expect thrills and spills, mechanicals and perhaps a little bit of misery as the world's greatest bike riders tackle stage 3.
13 kilometres of cobbles on a stage of 213 doesn't sound excessive, but anyone who'd recce the stage, and that was pretty much all the big names, knew better. The cobbles were split into 7 sections, getting progressively harder and closer together until the final section just 10k from the finish in Arenberg. The idea for the likes of Saxo Bank and Radio Shack was to use their whole teams to put Alberto Contador under pressure before the mountains. After 3 relatively trouble-free sectors of pavé, the first major incident came on number 4.
There's a crash at the back there. A number of riders have gone down, and that's why you have to ride at the front in these cobblestone section. It looks as if Frank Schleck has gone down there, champion of Luxembourg. I noticed him. Another rider went down was Yanni Brakovic of Team Radio Shack. This is the chaos at the back. This is why you have to ride at the front end of the main field. But Frank Schleck on the left-hand side there does not look very good at all.
Frank Schleck was out with a broken collarbone, and a race that was already split further. Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador were among those held up by the crash. Out front, Garmin's rider Hejjedal was trying to muscle his way to a famous solo victory. Behind, a select group was chasing him down and pulling away from everyone else. It was being driven by Fabian Cancellara, with Andy Schleck riding in his slipstream. And along with them were Cadel Evans, Thor Hushovd and Geraint Thomas. On section 6, things got worse for Armstrong when he punctured, losing touch with the group containing Alberto Contador and Bradley Wiggins. On the final sector of pavé, Hejjedal was still hanging on out front. The group containing Andy Schleck, Cadel Evans and Geraint Thomas was 23 seconds behind him. Behind them was the Contador-Wiggins group, being chased by Lance Armstrong.
9 kilometres to go for the rider at the front as we speak, and these boys well, it's really down to the work of two men, Andy Schleck and Cancellara. They are towing this group along, and they are trying to reach rider Hejjedal here. And this is just 9 kilometres from the finish of the race. Here comes the Armstrong group. It's a big gap this. They're under the 10 kilometres to go board, but they're losing ground, Paul.
Yeah, but what a job being done there by that man wearing number 28. Jaroslav Popovic is burying himself for Armstrong this afternoon.
The power of Armstrong as he starts to stamp on those pedals. He's desperate now. He's got across. He always has loved riding the cobblestones. He goes so well on them. And now it's all down to him. But down there, this very, very select little group of riders, but they still can't nail back rider Hejjedal.
Well, Hejjedal is doing the ride of his life. He's looking now for around about 15 seconds. I think they may well nail him back here, though, Phil, because here he is getting his way through this tunnel of noise. The crowds that have turned out in this northern part of France at the moment. The gap is being now communicated at just 15 seconds to rider Hejjedal.
Well, this has been a ride of his life, and he's done a couple this year, Hejjedal, but once he's off these cobblestones, he'll be left with about 7 kilometres to race. Now, what's happening?
Oh, Chavanel's got another problem.
And another change of bikes here for the Maillot Jaune. Well, the curse of being the leader of the Tour. He wears the red number as yesterday's most aggressive rider. He's in the yellow jersey. He's back on his French roads, and he's been dealt cards like this.
This is the next group on the road here, and it looks as if this is the Contador group, and they're only looking for 36 seconds to rider Hejjedal. They're only looking for 15 seconds to Andy Schleck.
Well, 37 seconds, we could see a coming together of that group, and that will only serve to open up the gap back to Lance Armstrong. Look at this again, as we now see Hejjedal in the sights. Well, what a sad sight, I have to say. 6.5 kilometres to go, and Hejjedal is about to be joined.
Well,
and look at this, in amongst the cars here is the figure of Armstrong. He looks like the coal miner from the forest of Arenberg. He's totally black in the face. 1,000 metres to the end. These boys are going to dispute the sprint finish. Cancellara, I think, has got to be spent. He's used all his energy to open the gap for his teammate Andy Schleck.
But you can see that Cadel Evans realises how important a move like this is, because Cadel keeps coming to the front, keeps riding, keeps pushing as well, because he too knows that he is climbing up the overall classification on a day when he probably didn't even think that would be advantageous to him.
Well, this has been a team attack. Saxo Bank came to this race today with the plan. We saw them all on the front when Stuart O'Grady and Jens Voigt were driving for them. They got the man they wanted in the lead, but what has happened to his brother Frank Schleck? He'll be very concerned about that as a rider Hejjedal goes on the left of our picture. And the quick chase, or was it a false start? A false start, I think. Andy Schleck is going to open it up. They've even put cobbles down the road here as we race towards the finish now. It is Andy Schleck on the right, Thor Hushovd on the left of our picture. His big Thor, the god of thunder, going to fire again now. As he comes clear, he takes the stage. And in second place is Geraint Thomas. And in third place, the world champion Cadel Evans.
53 seconds behind came the Contador group, except that Contador was no longer in it. Seemingly oblivious, his teammate Alexander Vinokourov helped drive Bradley Wiggins and Denis Menchov to the line, while Contador, who'd broken a spoke, lost 20 seconds to them. Lance Armstrong was another 55 seconds behind Contador, 2 minutes 8 behind the first group. And then came the day's big loser, Sylvain Chavanel. He lost 3 minutes 58 and the race lead. That pass back to Fabian Cancellara, a byproduct of his effort in driving his team leader up towards the top of the classification. Geraint Thomas's reward for a great ride was the white jersey as the leading young rider in the race. As well as that, he was up to second overall, 23 seconds behind Cancellara. Evans was one of the day's big winners too, now third at 39 seconds, while Andy Schleck had leapfrogged all his rivals except Evans to take sixth at 1:09. Alberto Contador was down to 9:31 seconds behind Schleck and just over a minute behind Evans. Bradley Wiggins up to 14th, another 9 seconds back. And Lance Armstrong had slipped to 18th, 50 seconds behind the defending champion, getting on for 2 minutes down on Evans. It was a stage they'll talk about for years on the tour, and all the key players were holding forth after it.
Everyone's reconned it, we've been there, special bikes, wheels, and here we are, you know, finished in 8th place on the stage. G finished second, so it was a great day for Team Sky.
It's amazing, you know, to go across those cobbles in the front group was really special with that jersey on, and you know, all the crowd there. It was just a really special day.
And the whole team did a fantastic performance today. We lost Frank Schleck, that's for sure. It's not so good, but that's part of the game, part of cycling.
No complaints. I mean, that's bad luck was with me today, and you know, look at the results. Everybody thought, oh, the climbers are going to lose minutes today, and they were the ones in the front, and the guy who was supposed to take advantage of it was the one in the back, and that's the nature of racing. So I have to accept that and go on and do my best in the next 2.5 weeks.